How's it going, guys? So I just finished up packing on my dive gear and I'm going to be heading to Vancouver Island this weekend, joined by Haley, Steph, and Hattie, and we're going to be doing a bit of a spearfishing adventure as well as a bit of surfing. So it's going to be awesome, and I just want to tell you guys about a new product I was sent by BLUETTI. This is a portable power box that's going to come in really handy on our dive trip. So I'm going to tell you a bit about it and we'll jump right over to the island. So as most of you know, when I go diving, especially when I go to Vancouver Island, most of the time I'm just camping in my car. But that adds a couple challenges, especially when I'm going for a week or two, when some of my devices just need to be charged. I can charge them in my car, but generally I'm going to be doing that when the car is running or I'm driving, and I can only really charge one, maybe two at a time. So that's where this thing comes in super handy. I can charge all of my devices at the same time. I got my GoPro, tablet, laptop all plugged in at the same time, and I can even plug my phone that's recording right now in. This thing's a game changer. For this size model, you're not going to be doing any big cooking with it. It's only up to 600 watts. But if you want to plug in like an electric griddle, you get one of the bigger size ones, and you could even cook with it. So like I say, I got all the devices charging. So when you're way out in the bush, you can also get the solar adapter that you can charge this thing with just solar power, which is pretty awesome. But for me, I just plug it into my home outlet and give it a good charge. Another thing I have is the pump for my boat, and that just plugs into one of these 12-volt cigarette lighters. So I can pretty much use this for everything I have. You have the USB-C, you have your normal USBs, and then of course there's just the normal outlets, the 120. You can plug whatever you need to into. Up to 600 watts for this one, so any sort of electronic charging device, laptop, I think I can even plug a TV into this and be fine. One of the coolest features that this thing has is something that I unfortunately cannot take advantage of because I have the Google Pixel phone and my model does not have wireless charging. But on the top of this thing, check this out. You can just set your phone right on top and it just charges. Don't have to plug it in, don't have to worry about losing your cord, just set it on top and you're good to go. However, I do find a bunch of random phones while I'm diving. Often in these phones, there's all sorts of gunk in these charging ports. So sometimes the wireless charger is really the only option I have. And this particular phone does work. It does not work well, as you can see, but I can use the wireless charger just for that purpose right there. As you can see, with this phone that barely works, that's all sorts of crazy stuff going on with it. But it does use the wireless charging effectively. Yeah. So if you want to get your very own BLUETTI, I'll put a link in my description down below. Come check them out. These guys are awesome. They sent me this for free, so I'm pretty stoked to get some use out of it this winter and the next summer. But for now, let's go meet up with the crew and head over to Ucluelet. We got some awesome spearfishing content coming up. So we caught the very first ferry this morning. Probably doesn't do justice on camera, but look at this sunrise. Absolutely gorgeous. So just finishing breakfast and great dive food for the morning. On the drive out, we passed some snow, so I knew these dives were going to be pretty brisk. But we were ready for it. We got the thick 7mm suits, so we were good to go. Normally, for me to inflate my swallowfish boat, I have to go up to my car in order for my electric pump to work. Because if not, I have to use a foot pump, which is not the greatest. It's a bit time consuming and it takes a lot of effort. Thankfully now I have this BLUETTI power box, which allows me to use my electric pump right down to the shore. No matter what the terrain is like, I can always pump up my boat. Bolt all loaded up, got the crew, and let's go get some fish. As with any trip from here, we're greeted by the locals as we leave. So many sea lions here, I feel so bad for those dogs. On the way out, we noticed a fair bit of swell, but that wasn't going to stop me, so we got out there, found a good spot, and hopped right in. When we hopped in, I noticed we had some great visibility, and that's pretty common in the winter months. As the temperature drops, the visibility tends to get a lot better as there's no algae blooms or anything like that are common in the summer months. So thankfully here, we had about 30 feet of visibility, which is absolutely perfect for diving. We're seeing a decent amount of life, so I thought I would just get one rockfish and get started with the day. Hattie had the same idea, and he got a pretty long shot right here, straight down. There's something to be said
when you have no fish to choose from, because it makes your decisions a lot easier. However, there's the flip side to this. When you have too many options, I personally get very indecisive and change my mind. No, that fish, this fish, so on. And the more times I do this, the less time I have to actually pick the fish that I want. And I find my breath hold getting really close to the end, so I make a decision and just pick a fish. However, in this case, I think I was just too far away from it, and I don't think the spear was able to totally pierce the fish. So unfortunately, I did hurt this fish, and he swam away. Speaking of myself being very indecisive, this is a great example. On the previous dive, I thought I saw a big lingcod down below. So here at the surface, I point down, and I'm like, I'm gonna go get that fish. So I dive down, and I get pretty close to it, and it looks decent size. It's not massive, but it looks legal to me. Then I start thinking to myself, is it though? And then I was gonna pass it, there's always bigger fish. And then it stops right in front of me, and I have a mark on my gun, so I put my gun forward, and I think it's legal. Put my gun down, and as soon as it moves, I just say, okay, shoot it. Thankfully, it was legal. It's about 65.5 centimeters, so it's about as small as you can get, but it was legal. I'm thankful I shot it, because that is the only lingcod I found. This was a pretty short dive, as a couple of our members ended up getting pretty seasick, so we called it quits, because we had 2 more days of fun to go. Had it!
We decided to head back to the dock and save some energy for the next couple days, but on the way, we stopped at a chunk of calm water so I could grab a couple of crab for dinner. And I didn't find any big Dungeness like I was hoping to find, but I found a few red rock, and those will work just perfect. This weekend's dive was actually over the Remembrance Day long weekend, so it was something that I really wanted to do was this, just have a quick moment of silence, but I kind of wanted to fit it in with my dive and have a quick moment of silence underwater, have 0 distractions, just me and my thoughts. So if you guys want to join with me, great. If not, I'll see you in a minute. For those of you that sat through that, I really do appreciate that, but we'll get back to finishing the rest of the video and filleting up some fish here. So just filleting up the fish. This is the tiniest little guy of the day. But yeah, some nice big fillets here. That's the lingcod fillets. Then we're just gonna vacuum seal it right here, right on the dock. All right, we had a short dive yesterday. Let's go surfing now. So I'm not really a big surfer. I've tried it a few times, not really good at it. I have a lot more fun using my fins and diving in the waves, watching other people surf. So that's just what I did here. I tried once, fell off, had fun with the boogie board too. But yeah, I just like swimming in the waves. So Steph, Haley, they had the surfboards, Hattie had the little boogie board. We had some fun playing in the waves today. It was a good time.
7 a.m. Let's go for dive number 2. First dive was actually really short. Bit of a seasick going on around the crew, but I still caught quite a few fish. That was pretty good. Whoa, it's a brisk morning. It's like probably 2 degrees or so. So hopefully it warms up when we get in the water.
Because of the seasickness the other day, and that today's swell forecast was actually supposed to be a little bit higher, we decided against taking the boat out again, and we had to go home on the long journey. So packing the boat up and getting all out there, it was just going to be a little bit too much to worry about for only a short dive, because we only had about 2 hours to do this. So I decided to go to a sheltered spot that I know of, and because we have a couple beginners with us, it's a lot more calm and mellow, and there's a lot of life you can still see. It's just a bit smaller. This spot had a really small hike into it, but it's absolutely gorgeous. If you spend a couple hours hiking around Ucluelet, you'll definitely find this spot, but I have a lot of fun just exploring new areas and finding different spots for myself. So I want to leave that same experience to you guys. Go hike, go explore, find some new spots to dive. It's definitely worth it. I absolutely love this spot. It's super shallow. It's maybe 20 feet deep at its absolute deepest point. And this is a great spot for beginner snorkelers or spearfishers, just to learn to identify fish and just kind of how to act in the water. So if you're a little more experienced, you can swim around this bay and go into the deeper waters, but I recommend doing that on a calm day because it can be pretty gnarly on the outside of the break. This is a first for me. Has anyone else found an abalone shell that is shiny on both sides? Most of them are beautifully shiny on the inside of the shell, but I don't think I've ever seen one that's shiny on the outside as well as the inside. That was pretty neat. We had a great time in this little bay, and Steph even shot her very first fish. This little bay is super fun. You see some small greenlings, some perch and stuff, but nothing big. If you see a rockfish, it's going to be rather small. But yeah, this whole trip was really fun. I got some awesome fish to take home, and as always, just some good memories. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. We'll get back in the water soon, but that's about it for the spearfishing season this year, so stay tuned for next season.